Hatred often feels like a direct strike, a wound delivered from one soul to another. Yet hatred is rarely about the one it targets. It is a mirror that reflects the turmoil within the one who feels it. The hater sees not you, but something in you that disturbs their peace. A quality they envy, a truth they cannot face, or a reminder of what they lack. The Stoics remind us that the judgments of others reveal their own character far more than they reveal ours. When someone speaks with bitterness, it is because bitterness rules their mind. When they act with cruelty, it is because cruelty has mastered them. The wise do not take hatred personally. They recognize it as a confession of the other's suffering. To be hated is to be seen through a distorted lens, one clouded by emotion, fear, or misunderstanding. The untrained mind believes that others must see the truth as it sees it. But perception is never pure. It is shaped by wounds, upbringing, insecurity, and desire. The one who hates has built an image of you in their mind, and it is that image, not you, that they despise. Consider this. The same person who curses you today may praise you tomorrow, not because you have changed, but because their perception has. And if another can shift from love to hate in a moment, what power do their feelings truly hold? When hatred comes your way, remember this. It is not an attack from above, but a cry from below. The hateful person wrestles with their own reflection. You merely happen to stand where their shadow falls. Do not respond to hatred with explanation or defense. Hatred feeds on attention, and silence starves it. When insulted, the wise do not rush to justify themselves, because they know that truth does not need to shout. To remain calm when others burn with anger is not weakness, it is mastery. For the one who keeps their composure turns hatred into something harmless, an echo that fades in the quiet of a steady mind. So when hatred arrives, look not outward, but inward. Ask, what is it within me that reacts? Why does another's judgment have the power to disturb me? The answer will reveal whether peace is truly yours, or whether it still depends on the shifting winds of others' approval. The Stoic understands this. Hatred is noise, but peace is music, heard only by those who have learned not to listen to the crowd. One of the greatest sources of suffering in human life is the illusion that others' opinions can be governed by reason, fairness, or truth. People spend their days trying to correct rumors, justify themselves, or earn back affection, as if another person's heart were a tool that could be adjusted by effort. Yet the Stoics remind us, nothing outside your mind belongs to you. You cannot control who misunderstands you. You cannot control who envies you. You cannot control who hates you. You can only control the response within. When the mind forgets this truth, it begins to beg for control where none exists. It tries to persuade, to prove, to win over. It believes peace will come only when everyone sees its goodness. But this is an impossible task, for no one sees the world as it is. Each sees it through their own fog of emotion and belief. Even the most virtuous will be hated. Socrates was condemned for corrupting youth. Marcus Aurelius was accused of cruelty for waging wars he did not seek. The wise never expect universal approval. They understand that truth often wounds before it heals, and not all minds are ready to face it. The illusion of control also breeds exhaustion. Every insult becomes a storm to calm. Every misunderstanding becomes a trial to fight. But the wise man asks, Why must I convince those who do not wish to understand? To waste energy on the hearts of others is to abandon the command of your own. Hatred thrives on reaction. The one who responds with anger gives the hater power. The one who responds with calm exposes the hater's weakness. Nothing disturbs those who seek control more than someone they cannot manipulate. Remember, you are not responsible for how others see you, only for how rightly you conduct yourself. Let them build their illusions. Truth will outlast them. There is freedom in letting go of the need to be seen as good. To live well is better than to be thought well of. Approval fades, but integrity remains. So when hatred or false judgment arises, step back. Ask, is this within my control? If not, release it. The world will speak. Let it speak. The wise do not chase the echo of their own name. Few burdens are heavier than the desire to be liked. It hides itself as humility, as kindness, even as good intention. But beneath it lies fear. The fear of rejection, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being unseen. Yet a mind that depends on the approval of others has already surrendered its peace. Reputation, to most, is life itself. They wake thinking of how they are perceived, and sleep worrying how they will be remembered. But to the Stoic, reputation is mere smoke, visible for a moment, then gone with the next wind. The wise know that the world forgets faster than it praises. Marcus Aurelius once reflected that even the greatest names, emperors, heroes, philosophers, are reduced in time to dust and echoes. So what is the use of bending your soul for the sake of those who will not remember your name? The love of reputation enslaves the spirit. It makes the mind a performer, not a ruler, always acting, always adjusting, always afraid. A person who constantly seeks approval is like a ship without anchor, tossed by every opinion. One harsh word and they sink. One compliment and they rise again. The Stoic path is not to despise reputation, but to see it clearly, as something external, uncertain, and beyond control. Reputation is not owned, it is loaned by the crowd. It can be reclaimed as easily as it is given. Ask yourself, if all praise were silenced, would your peace remain? If all admiration were withdrawn, would your dignity still stand? If hatred spread your name falsely, would you still act with the same honesty? The answer to these questions reveals whether your peace belongs to you or to the voices of others. To depend on the world's opinion is to live in chains. To depend only on conscience is to live in freedom. Let your actions be the proof of your character, not the applause. Let your calm be the only argument. Let the mind grow so steady that even lies cannot shake it. The wise understand that reputation, like shadow, follows where it will and disappears when the light changes. The goal is not to chase the shadow, but to walk rightly so that, whether the world looks or not, the path remains straight. Do not live to please, live to be at peace. To understand hatred is to free yourself from its power. The wise do not fight against the hateful, they study them. For to study the hater is to see how pain disguises itself as anger, how envy hides behind mockery, and how insecurity wears the mask of arrogance. No one wakes with hatred in their heart without first being wounded by life. Every hater is in truth a person who has been defeated by their own emotions. Their bitterness is a confession. I do not understand how to live without resentment. The Stoics saw hatred not as evil, but as ignorance, a symptom of an untrained soul. For what wise or content person would spend their time trying to harm another? What mind at peace would seek to disturb the peace of others? None. Hatred is born not from strength, but from weakness that cannot admit itself. The hater is a prisoner of comparison. When they see another succeed, they feel smaller. When they see another calm, they feel exposed. Their hatred is not about the one they attack. It is about the mirror they cannot bear to face. Every insult they throw is an attempt to throw away their own discomfort. Therefore, when someone hates you, do not take it as a mark of your flaw, but as a reflection of their suffering. You have become a mirror they cannot tolerate. Your peace irritates their chaos. Your composure unsettles their insecurity. Hatred often disguises itself as righteousness. I only speak the truth, says the envious one. I just don't like hypocrisy, says the proud one. But behind such words lies the same root, a restless need to feel superior, to bring another down so the self may rise. So how should one respond? Not with pity that looks down, but with understanding that looks through. The wise see hatred for what it is: blindness, confusion, self-inflicted pain. And they choose not to add their own anger to it. When you see the hater as a wounded soul rather than an enemy, the heart begins to soften. You no longer burn for revenge, because you see the futility of striking a person who is already suffering. Their punishment is already within them. Remember this: to hate in return is to join them in their prison. To understand them is to walk free. So when you meet hatred, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What torment must this person carry that they need to create more?" Then let your calm be the answer. When hatred strikes, the mind's first impulse is to strike back. It seeks to balance the scales, to return pain for pain, insult for insult. Yet this is how hatred multiplies, how one wound becomes two, and how the innocent begin to resemble their aggressors. Retaliation may feel like justice, but in truth, it is submission. It allows the hater to dictate your behavior, to shape your emotions, to pull the strings of your peace. The Stoics remind us, the one who angers you conquers you. The enemy's greatest victory is not your suffering, but your transformation into what you once despised. When someone's malice makes you cruel, when their insult makes you bitter, when their deceit makes you deceptive, they have won twice, first in act and then in spirit. True harm does not come from others' hatred, but from your response to it. To be hated is external. It touches reputation. To hate in return is internal. It touches character. The first can wound pride. The second corrupts the soul. Retaliation promises satisfaction, but delivers slavery. It ties you to your enemy, forcing your peace to depend on their punishment. You begin to measure your calm by their suffering, your justice by their defeat. In this way, hatred continues to govern you, even when the enemy is gone. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy, to respond with justice when treated unjustly, with restraint when provoked, with silence when insulted. That is victory, for hatred thrives on chaos, and calm is its extinction. The wise do not suppress their pain. They master it. They feel anger rise, but they do not kneel before it. They allow it to appear, to be examined, and to pass, leaving no mark behind. This is not weakness, but command. Ask yourself in moments of hatred, what do I wish to protect, my pride or my peace? Pride screams for retaliation. Peace whispers for distance. Pride wants to prove. Peace wants to remain whole. The Stoic knows which voice to obey. For in retaliation, you burn with your enemy. In restraint, you rise above them. And what greater humiliation for the hater than to see that their hatred has failed to move you? So let them rage, lie, and slander. Let their noise rise and fall like a storm. You will stand still untouched, not because you are indifferent, but because you have chosen mastery over reaction. The fire of hatred cannot survive in the air of calm. Do not fight the flame, remove the fuel. Indifference is not coldness. It is not the absence of feeling, but the discipline of directing feeling only toward what matters. It is the art of guarding the mind's gates, allowing in only what serves virtue, and turning away all that disturbs peace. To the untrained, indifference looks like detachment. They mistake calm for weakness, silence for surrender, stillness for apathy. But the Stoics understood, indifference is strength contained. It is the refusal to let external noise enter the inner temple. When someone insults you, mocks you, or tries to provoke anger, the instinct is to respond, to explain, to defend, to prove. Yet this is how manipulators win. They make you react. They draw you into their world, where emotion clouds reason and chaos replaces order. The Stoic does not play this game. When provoked, they ask one simple question. Does this lie within my control? If the answer is no, then no response is needed. The insult, the opinion, the manipulation, these belong to others. Let them carry their own burden. Epictetus said, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. For either what they say is true, and you should correct it, or it is false, and then it is not your concern. Indifference is a kind of armor, but not one made of iron. It is soft, invisible, and impenetrable. It protects not by blocking the world, but by letting it pass through without injury. Words lose their weight when they find no place to land. Consider the river. Stones are thrown into it daily, yet it flows on, unbothered, unaltered. The wise mind is the same. Insult may fall upon it, but it does not stop its course. The one who remains calm in the face of hatred demonstrates mastery greater than armies or kings. This practice is not easy. It requires constant awareness, to catch the first flicker of anger before it spreads, to notice the sting of pride before it hardens into resentment. But with repetition, indifference becomes natural. The same words that once provoked now pass unnoticed, like wind through leaves. Indifference also starves manipulation. The manipulator thrives on reaction, confusion, guilt, anger, defense. When you respond with none of these, they lose their power. Silence exposes them more than argument ever could. Remember, you owe no one your peace. The opinions of others do not define you. Your response to them does. To be indifferent is not to be numb. It is to care only for what is truly worth caring for, the state of your own soul. So let the world speak. Let them judge, twist, assume. Your task is not to silence the noise, but to hear it and remain unmoved. That is not apathy. That is mastery. Peace is not found. It is built. It is not a gift given by others, but a discipline maintained from within. The Stoics treated peace not as a luxury, but as a responsibility, something to be protected as fiercely as one protects their own life. Every person will face those who seek to disturb their calm, manipulators who twist words, flatterers who disguise intentions, critics who find pleasure in provocation. To guard peace is to recognize their presence without letting them enter the mind's inner chamber. You cannot stop the world from speaking, but you can decide which words reach your heart. Most people allow every opinion to pass the gates of their mind. They collect judgments like stones until the weight breaks them. The wise, however, act as a gatekeeper. They ask of every thought, "Is this mine to carry?" If someone mocks you, that is their act. If someone lies about you, that is their burden. But the moment you allow their actions to disturb your peace, it becomes your wound. Guarding inner peace means drawing boundaries, not of walls, but of awareness. It means refusing to let the emotions of others dictate your own. Do not waste your calm on arguments that do not matter. The one who provokes wants to see you lose balance. It confirms their control. But silence and composure leave them powerless. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When others offend you, remember, they act according to their understanding. Do not expect figs from a vine or honey from a thorn. Peace begins when expectations end. Expecting the world to be fair, people to be loyal, manipulators to confess. This is to hand your serenity over to fantasy. Guarding peace means accepting the imperfection of others while perfecting your own restraint. To guard peace is not to withdraw from life. It is to move through it untouched by its turbulence. Like a soldier who marches through noise but keeps his formation, the wise remain steady even amid chaos. There will be moments when the mind grows tired, when slander, betrayal, or cruelty pierce too deep. In such moments, step back and remember, you are not obligated to participate in every battle you are invited to. Choose your silence as you would choose your words, deliberately, with purpose, and from strength, not avoidance. Inner peace is not a passive state. It is an active practice. Each day the world will test your defenses, and each day you must choose to remain the guardian of your own tranquility. Because no thief can steal peace unless the gates are already open. It is easy to love those who love you. It is even easy to forgive those who apologize. The true test of the soul is to show compassion toward those who hate you, without allowing that compassion to make you a fool. The Stoics never mistook gentleness for weakness. They understood that mercy, when guided by wisdom, becomes strength. But when guided by naivety, it becomes a door for manipulation. To feel pity for the hateful is noble. To allow the hateful to rule your peace is not. Compassion without weakness begins with understanding. The one who hates, lies, or manipulates does so out of pain, an unhealed wound they do not know how to name. You may not be the cause of their suffering, but you may have become its nearest target. Understanding this truth protects the heart from bitterness. When you see hatred as suffering, it loses its power to provoke anger. When you recognize that cruelty often comes from fear, you cease to take it personally. Hatred then transforms before your eyes, from something threatening into something pitiful. But compassion does not mean returning to those who harm you. It does not mean excusing deceit or tolerating manipulation in the name of forgiveness. The wise forgive, but they do not forget what experience has taught them. They wish peace to all, even their enemies, but they do not open the door to those who would destroy it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is peculiar to man to love even those who stumble. But this love must be rational, not blind. To wish someone well is within your virtue. To let them harm you again is within your control, and therefore your responsibility. True compassion is calm and distant. It is the kind that says, 'I see your suffering, but I will not let it spread into me.' It does not lash out, but it also does not bend. It keeps the heart soft, but the boundaries firm. Weakness forgives and forgets without wisdom. Strength forgives and remembers without hatred." The Stoics believed that even when others fail to act with virtue, one must not abandon their own. Compassion, when ruled by discipline, heals the giver more than the receiver. It cleanses the heart of resentment without opening it to further harm. To respond to hate with hate is common. To respond with compassion is divine. But to respond with compassionate clarity, that is wisdom. So when faced with those who lie, deceive, or seek to wound, do not curse them, but do not follow them either. Stand where you are, unmoved, seeing clearly. Wish them healing, and walk away. For there is no need to fight those who are already at war with themselves. Every person needs a place where the noise of the world cannot enter. For the Stoic, that place is not built of stone or guarded by soldiers. It is built within the mind. It is a fortress stronger than walls, higher than towers, and safer than any distance one could run. The world can wound the body, tarnish the name, take wealth, or spread lies. But no one can breach the fortress unless the gates are opened from within. This is why the wise spend less time controlling others and more time strengthening themselves. When betrayal strikes, when lies are told, when hatred whispers through the crowd, retreat not into fear, but into yourself, into that inner citadel that reason has built, where no voice but your own can decide what you think, what you feel, and what you will become. Marcus Aurelius called this the ruling part, the rational soul that observes without panic, decides without haste, and endures without bitterness. He wrote, "The mind is stronger than any harm that befalls it if it chooses to stand." Most people leave the gates open. They let every insult enter, every rumor rattle the walls, every opinion rewrite their peace. But the Stoic guards the entrance with vigilance. Only truth is permitted in. Only what lies within control is allowed to dwell. Everything else, the noise, the malice, the misunderstanding, is left to die outside the walls. This fortress is not isolation, it is command. It is the ability to live among people without being ruled by them, to walk through chaos without absorbing it, to be in the crowd, but not of it. Those who build this fortress do not react to every provocation, because they no longer need the world's approval to stand tall. They do not seek validation, because they have found sufficiency in themselves. And when hatred tries to find its way in, through words, through envy, through manipulation, it finds the gates closed. The mind inside remains silent, watching, understanding, but never surrendering. To build this fortress requires daily work, reflection, restraint, discipline. It requires silence when anger calls, stillness when pride stirs, humility when insulted, and courage when misunderstood. Each act of self-control adds another stone to the wall. Each refusal to be provoked strengthens the gate. In time, the fortress becomes unshakable. The storms still rage, but the ruler inside is calm. The world still judges, but the mind remains steady. The wise live not without enemies, but without vulnerability to them. For even surrounded by hatred, they remain untouched, not because the world has grown kinder, but because they have grown stronger. Build your fortress, guard its gates. Let only what nourishes virtue pass through. For the peace within you is the last empire that must never fall. There comes a moment when silence becomes the highest form of power. The world may rage, tongues may sharpen, and hatred may circle. Yet the one who stands still, unshaken, commands more authority than the one who shouts. Stillness is not absence of motion. It is mastery of it. It is the moment when emotion obeys reason, when pride submits to peace, when the soul remains steady despite the storm. In stillness, one no longer reacts. One chooses. Those who hate expect to provoke. Their goal is not truth, but disturbance. They seek to pull you from the center, to make you answer their chaos with your own. But when you refuse to move, when calm becomes your reply, you rob them of victory. The Stoics compared the calm mind to a lighthouse, surrounded by endless waves, yet unmoved, simply shining. The storm does not ask the lighthouse to argue. It endures because it understands its purpose. So too must the wise endure, not in weakness but in awareness. Stillness does not mean you do not feel. It means you do not let feeling command you. Anger will visit. You simply will not host it. Hatred will knock. You simply will not open. The world often praises the loud and mistakes stillness for surrender. But there is no victory greater than remaining unchanged while everything tries to pull you apart. To respond with peace when provoked, to stand calm when hated, that is the triumph of self-command. Do not rush to correct every lie. Do not run to silence every critic. Time is the great judge of all things, and truth has never needed an advocate who screams. Stillness exposes what noise tries to hide. The louder others rage, the clearer their insecurity becomes. The quieter you remain, the more strength they reveal for you. When the battle of words ends, when tempers fade, and when the noise settles, it is the one who stayed calm that remains standing. The victory of stillness is not seen in applause or acknowledgement. It is felt in the quiet of your own mind, when you can look upon your enemies without hatred, upon your wounds without bitterness, and upon yourself without shame. For no victory is greater than to conquer the self, to remain gentle in a cruel world, and calm in a noisy one. And so, when hatred finds you, do not meet it on the field of anger. Meet it within the fortress of stillness. There the battle ends before it begins.